Hey people, what's going on? I'm Lee Broken Puppet and got a really fun one today. We're going to be doing a classic old school crocodile face. It's going to be like a side profile one. It's really colourful, really bold, and it's just a really fun one to do. You know, whether you're into tattooing or just drawing, and they're going to love it. I'm going to be using pencils, I'm going to be Sharpie for the outline. I'm going to be using these Winsor & Newton brush markers for the colour. You can use whatever you want. You can use markers, pencils, paints, whatever you want to use. Just copy what I do on there, on here. So we'll start off with the pencil. It's just basic 3B, and I'm just using Bristol board paper. I recommend using something like Bristol board because it's just a bit better than the average kind of paper. You know, printed paper just won't do the job. So you see, we've got this bit of paper here. So what I'm going to do is just bring a rough line across. So we're going to be roughly about yay long, about yay kind of high. So it kind of fits in this kind of space. And what I'm going to start with, just around here, I'm going to start off with a rough circle for the nose. So it's going to start off like this, and then what we're going to do, we're going to cut a line curving upwards. It's going to cut through that nose. We're going to get a dip down. Going to dip back up, going to curve back and come back here. You want to come back quite far. So see, we've got this space, you know, come well back here. You know, because the mouth's really long on these things, so you want to make sure it's nice and long. So what we're going to do now is kind of almost kind of mimic the shape, but coming back a little bit kind of lower. So we're going to bring this, curve this down, curve this out, until we come to roughly about the same sort of rough sort of length. Now, you can come a little bit shorter if you want, but I like to come roughly about the same, so it's almost kind of in line. Once you've got it done, on this sort of mark here, I'm going to put a little circle. Just here. It's roughly where the eye is going to go. On top of the eye, I'm going to sketch in a rough sort of sausage shape, so it's going to curve around it. Let's see if it's kind of sort of sitting on top of the eye like that. You know, it's all about kind of building a sort of rough shape. From here, this is going to kind of branch back and curve to there, so it's going to curve off and touch this bit. This is going to curve off to the back of the head. So I'm going to curve this around like this. Come down roughly here, I'm going to sketch in this rough mark. And this is going to curve around, and this is going to make the mouth. So it's going to curve around that mouth bit here. So you're going to curve around it like a nice big sort of circular shape. I'm going to curve off and curve back as if you just come back over here. So you see, doing that sort of nice kind of long shape, just like that. So you see, you've got a rough sort of face in there. And once you've got this, you can start working out little detail bits. So just kind of make sort of shape, you know, sense of it. Because now we've got the rough shape, we can start making sense of everything. So what I'm going to do is start off with the nose. So I'm going to curve this up. When I get to about here, I'm going to loop this inwards. I'm going to curve this back and make this nice kind of loop shape, make this cool looking nose. Now you've got to remember, it's old school, so it's pattern sort of based, so it's not going to be like an actual real crocodile. It's going to look really cool, but you have to kind of lose the sense of drawing an exact replica of the creature. Because that's not what old school's about, you know, it's about pattern, it's about making it look really cool, you know, it's about design rather than being photographic. So what I'm going to do now, we've kind of got this line here. I'm going to sketch in these rough sort of circle shapes. I'm going to keep curving these little circles just off like this. Now you can make them the same sort of shape, you can make them a little bit smaller and bigger if you want. You know, it kind of makes, you know, a different sort of look on the face. But both ways look pretty good. Like here, I've got these roughly around the same size, but you could do, say, a little one, a big one, little one, medium sized one, big one. You know, I might do that just down there. It's a really cool way of doing it, and you know, both, I keep saying, you know, don't I? Yeah, I'm going to stop saying that. Anyways, little curved line just here to separate this bit. It's going to be the inside mouth of the gum. And around here on the outside bit, I'm going to mimic this sort of curved shape right here. And I'm going to make a secondary line, just tracing around it until we get to roughly about the bottom part here. I'm going to curve that inwards. Now to kind of finish off the shape, I'm going to sort of do like a little flower down here. So this flower is going to curve in this area. And I'm going to have this leaf that's going to curve up like this and curve off here. And this one's going to curve off here and down there. And the idea of this is going to cut off the crocodile now. Because rather than his head just come back here and go into next to nothing, just disappearing, with this sun's going to come into here, and it kind of makes a nice little finish, because rather than just coming to an edge, it's working into something. You know, it's a very good idea to do, you know, it just makes a lot more sense, and just it looks a lot better. Inside that circle, I'm just going to do a little circle just like that, and just for now I'm going to put a line up, a line across, and a line across. So I'm just dividing this into 6 sections. So you can see the face is starting to come together now, because, you know, as you start to build this up, little bit by bit, it starts to make more sense. So what I'm going to do here around this eye, I'm going to bring this curve's going to loop out like this. It's going to curve down, it's going to loop around it and come off here at the back. Then what I'm going to do is create a little secondary line inside that, like so. So this circle sits within that shape, you see? And I'm going to give a little crocodile eye, so I'm going to do a little spike just there inside the eye like that. Now once you've got to this stage, you've got to start thinking sort of patterns, different areas you want, different patterns in different areas that are going to kind of complement each other, but also look really kind of cool in the sense that it's going to tell the story of what the crocodile is. You want to kind of tell that kind of like sort of scaly kind of look. So I'm going to start here. We've got this line here. I'm going to create these little circles, more kind of oval shapes that kind of connect here, and that's going to connect the top part. I'm also going to have this on the top of the back here. So as it comes around the back here, I'm going to have these long oval shapes, a little bit bigger on this bit to what they are here, just to make sense of the fact that they are going towards his back area. I'm going to bring this little line here that's going to curve off of this line, so it's going to curve up here to the edge. So I'm creating this little section around this eye now, and this is going to curve up to that point just there. Inside this bit here, I want to create 2 patterns. So on this part here, what I'm going to do is go 1 curve, 2 curve, 1 curve, 2 curve. So you've got this nice little pattern that's going to come up off of this nose, and then inside this gap here, what I'm going to do is create this kind of scaly effect. So I'm going to create these long kind of semicircle shapes like this, and each one's going to touch the center of the one underneath it. So you see, kind of curving off of that. I'm going to build up in that direction. You can go the other way if you want, but on crocodiles, I tend to go that direction. I just think it looks a lot better. In this back area just here, you've got this little section that's going to sit behind this mouth and in between this bit. I'm going to go line down, line down, line down, line down, and I'm going to go the other way, so cross section. And then inside each one of those, I'm going to do a little dot, just like so. Inside this part again, I'm going to create these little curved lines just like this. And then inside the mouth, you're going to do the teeth. Now the teeth, you can do zigzag if you want. You can go the whole way across. It does look really cool. I tend to sort of space them out a little bit, so I tend to go like this. You know, that one there, this one might be just a fraction away from it, so there's a tiny little gap. And I like to make mine different kind of sizes. I don't like to have all the same kind of size. I like to have a big one every now and again, then a little one, then a big one. You know, I just think it gives a bit more kind of personality when they're a bit uneven. You know, but it's completely up to you. Like the zigzag does look really cool as well, you know, and it is the easier option. So if you want, you can just kind of zigzag it down. You know, or just do a few little zigzags like there. You know, you ain't got necessarily to do the entire thing if you don't want to. I'm going to create this curve in the mouth now, so I'm just going to curve up and curve back like so, as if it's coming out of the mouth. In the background just here, I'm going to do a little kind of V shape just between some of these teeth, just coming back like so. And just here, I'm not going to do it in front of the tongue, because the idea is these are the back teeth, and obviously the back teeth wouldn't sit in front of the tongue, so don't do those in front of the tongue, it just won't make sense. So now we've got the rough shape for the face marked out. This section here, I'm not too sure, I might leave this blank, I might put a pattern mark in there. I'm going to wait till I do the outline first before I decide what I'm going to do in that section just there. Because sometimes it is nice to have an area that's plain rather than bold. So I'm going to come down here to the flower now, so in the center of this, and do a circle. I'm going to do another circle inside it, just like so. We've got our lines just here on the sides. What I'm going to do is little lines just on the centre of each one of these. Very faint, don't worry about doing it too hard. The idea is you just want to mark out where the middle section is of each one. Because we're going to create a little spike, so we're going to curve like this, across that circle to that, and curve off to the edge. Curve up to that bit, little spike, curve off to the edge. And just do that on each one of these. Now, if you use a compass, you can get this nice and exact. You know, mine's not going to be 100% exact, so I didn't use a compass, but I'm not too fussed about that. You know, if I was doing it for an actual tattoo design, I'd probably make sure it was 100% accurate, but when I'm just kind of fun sketching like this, I don't really tend to bother too much for that. You know, it's just nice to kind of have a go at just freehanding and get it right. You know, I think it's good practice. Now for these leaf bits, I've got a curve on the outside that comes to a point, and down there, so here I'm going to bring a line down the centre, and I'm going to curve outwards, and then loop back around, curve outwards, and loop back around. And this one's going to be like just a smaller version of that. So now we've got it done, everything's kind of roughly where we want it. So now we've got this done, I'm going to go in with a Sharpie and just put all the little details we need in there for the outline. So I've got my sharp pen, it's just this kind of one, just a standard Sharpie. You can use whatever kind of pen you want. And if you want to go for thinner, you can go for thinner. If you want to go thicker, you go thicker. Now it's really up to you. And don't feel like you need to go same speed as me, okay? I know I'm very quick at my line work. Especially with a Sharpie, you know, it's just, I've been doing it a long time, so it's second nature to me. You know, speed doesn't really mean anything in the end, it's all about the end product, so just have fun with it and don't feel like you need to rush. Now you've got to remember, I'm using Bristol board for this, so it tends not to bleed too much. If you're using something like printer paper, you might find that Sharpies and markers might bleed a fair little bit. You know, so I recommend it's worth investing into some better quality paper. You know, it hasn't got to be super expensive. Like Bristol board's not really that expensive. You know, it depends on what kind of brand you're getting really, you know, but yeah, just anything other than printer paper I recommend. You know, anyone who's familiar with my channel knows I'm not really a fan of printer paper, it's just the worst of the worst. Just got the inside part of the mouth just there. Get that line like so. These little lines inside the eye. Outside line mimicking that shape. Getting this nice curve around here. Well, what I'm doing is I get here, I'm going to create a little bump and curve around that, just so it's not like a perfect smooth top. Now you can do if you want, there's nothing wrong with that, but I'm looking at it, I just feel like it needs to be a little bit less perfect bump. If that makes sense. Two little curves there. I'm going to go oval shape, oval shape, oval shape, oval shape, oval shape, oval shape. And what do you know, another oval shape. There we go. Line around that. Bottom line in there. So go this line around here. So that. Where to next? Gonna get the inside part of the eye. Just like so. Circle one here, or circle there. When doing flowers, I prefer to do the lines down the halfway points of these first. I feel it just makes it easier to kind of match it up. Yeah, and if you do the lines all the same kind of height, everything kind of matches up roughly on the right same sort of height. You know, it's, I say if you're not using the compass and stuff, it's not going to be 100% accurate, but sometimes not being 100% accurate is part of the charm. And I said it's good practice. So just keep going around all of these, just kind of building up this really nice kind of shape to these. And I was thinking about crocodiles and old school stuff I just love. I find they're really underrated as well. They're not used as much as what they should do. And if it looks more like an alligator, you know, like, you can correct me if you want, I'm really not up to speed on what makes a difference really between a crocodile and an alligator, so, you know, feel free to educate me on that one if it looks the other way. Or if this is a crocodile, then good for me. But yeah, if anyone knows, please let me know, what is the difference between a crocodile and an alligator? You know, what's, and I'm not talking about sort of like physiology, you know, I'm talking about actually physical appearance, what makes them look different. And I could just probably Google it, but I can't be bothered. Get these teeth in here. Let's go zigzag on those two. Little one, big one, little one, big one. Zigzag, big one, little one. Tongue in there. Now those back teeth you saw me draw, I'm going to do those with a grey, so I'm not going to use those with a bold black. Pretty much everything else I'm going to do black, except for those, because I want those to kind of feel a little bit kind of like faint in the distance. I'm going to sort of shade those out. Lines in here. Get a little dot inside each one of these when there's a center point. If you can't see the center point, then don't worry. And I might put dots in this little bit just here as well. So, same distance apart, just through this little section. It's gonna go dot, 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 dot. And a few little details as well. I'm gonna go here, I'm gonna go little lines in the center of this. Down each one, I think. It's just a classic old school, simple pattern, but just looks really cool. I really like it. So we've got to go that way, so we've got the face in there now. Yeah, I'll get those teeth done afterwards. So at this stage, I'm just gonna grab my rubber and I'm gonna rub out all that pencil work. So see, now we've got either wood now, you've got all this sort of nice little detail bits. So I'm going to start working on my black and grey shading. So my black and grey shading, I'm going to use my Winsor & Newton brush markers. I'm going to use my cold greys, which are CG4, CG1, CG3 and CG2, and my XX, well, XB black. You can use whatever you want. You can use pencils, markers, whatever you want. I'm just going to use these because they're just my go-to things, really. If you're familiar with my page, you know how much I love my markers. It's just what I like to use. So I'm going to start with, I'm going to bring a little black line around here. Around here. Get me a nice bit of solid black in this area to begin with. Just there. But then what I'm going to do, I'm going to go down my greys. I'm going to go from the 4, which is the darkest one. And I'm just going to work this over the edge, side to side. Now these are Winsor & Newton brush markers. You know, any markers will do. Just as long as they're really kind of brush markers. Like if you're using like pro markers, you know, these are made by pro markers, but they're the brush markers. But pro markers have got a bit more of like a drawing kind of tip, so they're not so easy to blend out. And then what you want to do, just go down. So we've got the 4 there. As soon as you see it at the start to blend, just kind of let it do its magic. And then just go over the edge each time with the next slower down number. You know, you don't have to go for all of them. Like, okay, I'm going to skip number 2 and just go to number 1. You know, as long as you got like a nice blend out. Like so. And now we've got that bit done there. I'm going to go on to the next bit. So just here, I'm going to get black on this area. For this little section just here, these 2 bumps we done, I'm going to have this as solid black though. So I'm going to leave a little white edge, but it's going to be solid. See, like that? You know, it's nice to have those little sections, you know, throughout the design sometimes. It just looks really cool. You know, it hasn't always got to necessarily be a blend. You know, sometimes a nice mix of both of them looks really cool. A little bit of black just in this section. Just wait right through your greys. I'm going to blend it out sort of here because I'm going to have colour in this section. So it's going to be black. I think this area might be possibly red, I think. Don't hold me to that. Wait till I'm colouring it in first. You know me, my colours change as I do them, so don't start colouring in until I colour in. So I'm going to have black here. I'm going to have black also just there. And I want a fairly quick transition with this. You know, quick transitions and shading is very typical of old school. You know, generally because a lot of it was done sort of spit shading, where you use like water paints effects and like inks, and you generally like blend your black out very quick. So you get this nice quick transition. You know, and it's development style. Sometimes more the sort of new school artists might drag the colours out a little bit more and sort of like a bit more of a smooth blend. But typically of old school shading, it's usually very quite short and to the point. I'm not saying it hasn't got to be done that way, but it's just the way it used to be done. You know, it's if you want to achieve that really kind of classic vintage old school style, then you probably want to do that. You know, and if you want any really good sort of like tutorials on, say, spit shading, you know, I will be doing a few. But there's a really good guy called Sober Joe. He's also on YouTube. I don't know him personally, but I know his stuff, and he's really good at what he does. So I definitely recommend him. And yeah, if you can, give him a follow. You know, he's putting up his following base and that, but he deserves a lot more than what he has. You know, it's nice to see another artist giving information like that, especially when it's good quality stuff. So yeah, go give him a follow. His name's Sober Joe. Might have to do a collaboration at some point, you know. I might have to message him, see if he wants to do a collaboration. But we'll see. So you see here, it's got this heavy black on this top part here, just blending out in the middle. Gonna get black now, I'm gonna go in the mouth, I think. So I'm gonna get a little bit just here in the center of the mouth. Just down this tongue. Once I get down, I'm gonna blend that out. So just keep going down 3 shades. You know, spit shading is a very similar process. You know, you put down your black ink, you know, you get your brush and you basically kind of want to kind of water it down. So what you see me doing with these, the side-to-side motions, the same sort of thing you do with spit shading, really. You know, and if you imagine each time I'm going down a shade, would basically be where you'd be like, you know, cleaning your brush and just getting less and less ink on it and blending it out. Now you can use a blender pen and completely blend it out, but to be honest, when you get to the 1, when you let it dry, it pretty much disappears anyway. So I really tend not to use the blenders too much. I prefer to go color to color. It's very rare you'll ever see me using a blender. You know, nothing that's, you know, there's nothing wrong with them using them. It's just not really for me. So again, I'm going to go black on the side bits here. And a very quick transition. You know, pretty much anywhere is kind of like a kind of corner or something, or you know, if there's an area that I don't want to have, that's not going to be pure solid color, I tend to do the black. Like this section around here, I want this to be a nice bold color, so I'm not going to have any black in that, because I want that to stand out and really pop. It's nice to have a mix of ones that are going to pop like that and some that are going to be sort of shaded. You know, it's that kind of effect of having, you know, certain areas that are shaded and certain areas that ain't, that really kind of help make the picture really jump out. But yeah, you should be always keeping that in mind, you know, what's going to make your picture look, you know, more dynamic, you know, what's going to make it more interesting. Now, there's always new sort of tricks and sort of ideas for it, you know, but yeah, always try to keep that in mind. You know, if you can't think of anything, then just do it the normal way in that, but, you know, you never know, you might think of something that's really cool and that might become like a signature trait of yours. Now, most of the shading I've done here, you've seen I've used like straight side-to-side motion. You don't always have to, like when you get here, I'm going to curve this shade like this. So rather than go straight, I'm going to curve this one. It's going to be the same principle going side to side, so we're going to go over the edge like this. But it doesn't have to be like a straight edge is what I'm sort of saying. You know, you can play around with the angles you're shading at. You know, this particular kind of curve is very typical of old school. You'll see this quite a lot, especially sometimes you get like the old school roses and stuff. You know, like our skulls around certain corners and edges. It's a very cool effect. Ground that bit, just blend that out. And then I'm going to go black on that top section, just inside this gap, just here. You know, I might have the same sort of concept for this bit, I'm going to curve that. Just like so. Grab my grey. Let's go the same sort of direction with it. Go down to my number 2. And go down to my number 1. You've got to remember as well, you're going to be hitting over the colour as well, so let it dry and your colour's going to also help with some parts of the blending. So now I've got it done, I'm just going to add a little bit of black just on the base of these bits, you know, just a very, very small amount. I don't want to, pretty much hardly anything, just enough to make a transition that's then going to go into like a brown into a yellow, I think. So just slightly widen that up. So just hardly anything, especially don't go over that line. Don't, make sure that line is still on show, you know, you don't want to go past that line. You know, those little lines we've done on the inside. You know, they're a lovely feature and we don't want to lose those, so. Add a little bit of shadow, but just don't lose that edge. Go over those. Just like so. Just quickly grab me a black. It's going to do the same thing now on this little bottom section, so just a tiny bit of black just on the edge. It's basically just a little line, really. Just enough to sort of show that little kind of sort of depth. You see the way it kind of feels like it's like layered on top of each other? You know, that's what I'm after. You know, more so than shading, I'm just looking for that layered effect. I'm very much a fan of that. I kind of feel like, you know, look where sort of things feel kind of like they're sort of stacked in front of each other. You know, like this one feels like it's like each one's like on top. Just keep that going. So you got those done, and we're almost done with the black now. I'm going to get a little black in these leaves, I think. Just on this bottom section, just like, yeah. Okay, with my grey. Work over the grey. And then work over that last grey. Like so. The centre of this little flower I'm going to have in black. Just like so. And I think that's going to do it for all the black and grey shading. So now you've got all your black and grey in there, we're going to move on to colour. So for colours, I think I'm going to use, I might use some fabric at some point. Let me get on the colours out. Ooh. Going to be using my berry reds, it's my favourite reds. I'll be using my amber tone, so like that. I might possibly use cinnamon, I don't know, I'm not 100% sure on the cinnamon yet. You know, wait till I use it before you use it. Forest green into lime green into, I'm going to use some orange in here, so I'm going to use my bright orange I think. And I think that'd do it. You know, I might possibly get my lilac out at some point, or a purple, possibly a little bit inside the mouth, but we'll see. So yeah, these are the colours I'm thinking of using. So I'm going to start off with the colours that I know I want to use. So I'm going to start off with the reds. Now 100% want red in here. So I'm going to bring this across like this. And I want it in that area just there. And I want red in this area. Just there. And yeah, I'm going to bold that all in red. Nice red section, I think. Second go there, I'm going to get a little bit of red as well, just inside this little eye section just here. Now redden this tongue. I'm going to leave a little white stripes across the top of it. Just for effect. Just like that. And then what I might do, the same similar effects I've done there, I might have in a flower. So I'm going to bring this line across like this. Bring that across and leave a little kind of highlight just on the top section. We'll do that for each one of them. Now with flowers, I tend to, whatever pattern I do in one petal, I tend to do in all of them. You know, the only time you can really make an exception, unless if you are alternating, I'd say. But with flowers and stuff, you know, I always try to make sure they're mathematically correct. So if you are going to alternate, so something like this where it's symmetric, you might go colour, then colour, and kind of rotate the whole way through. If it was 5, I wouldn't do that because it wouldn't then match up. You'd end up with 2 colours next to each other, which would just throw the whole thing off. But to be honest, the easy way is just making sure you just do the same thing for each one of them. You know, they look amazing that way. You know, it's just the best way of doing it. You know, if you want to experiment, but yeah, this way it's just kind of foolproof. You know, you can't really go wrong doing it this way. And now we've got the red in there. I'm going to go for my, should go for the green next. Yeah, I might have the green next. So I'm going to get a green. It's just going to come over this part. I'm going to bring this out until I kind of get almost through that grey. And as I get towards the end of that grey, I'm going to switch to the lime green. And blend that out. Let's go for this little top section just up here. So bring it out until you're almost out of the grey. Switch to the lime green. I like to do that way, as you sort of transition out of it, it also creates a bit more of different shades between lime green, from the forest green to the dark shade, the lime green to the light shade lime green. So just, it adds just another sort of shadow, so it's another layer. Bring this up through here. I might add a bit more green as we get to this section just around the back. Haven't necessarily got to do this, but I think it might look pretty cool. just there, and then blend that out. Just like so. Yeah, I like that. I think that looks nice. So now we've got it done. I'm going to add a few green in a few other places. So just here in this section, just on these bits. I'm going to add green in here, and again, just leave that little white edge just around the outside areas. So just there. Just there. And then lastly, I'm going to have green in the leaves on these parts. I'm going to have these just solids with the forest green, so they stand up here like a little bit darker compared to the skin. That's why I want the line bit there, because it just separates it from these leaves. The problem is, if you have two of the same colour back to back, it kind of like merges into one thing. Now you want to make sure there's either a different colour in between or a different shade of the colour to break it up. So see, you go from like dark green to light green, so it breaks it. You know, here you have red, but you have this colour that's going to go in the middle, so it's going to break that up. In my opinion, it's just very, very important. I'm going to get orange. It's going to go through that part of the eye just there. I'm going to have it on these oval shapes as well. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to touch the bottom like this. And again, just leave a little white top. Just as it comes around this edge. And then I'm going to get me the fire brick. I'm going to get a bit of fire brick just on the bottom of these sections. Sticking within the grey, don't go past the grey bits we've done. And just do a few for now, don't go too many in one go. And I'm going to get the edge with that with cinnamon. So I'm just blending out that fire brick. Then that cinnamon's going to go into that amber tone. And that amber tone is going to fill up the shape. Just like so. And we do that for all of them all the way around here now as well. So it's going to go one by one. So let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can do 5 at a time. Okay, so let's do 5, so 10 down. Let's go for that bottom bit. Let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. Bung that yellow in there. Again, just here, so I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. I might just go all the way for this last bit. 5, 6, 7. Or is that 8? 7 or 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That was 7. Thought I'd double count it for a second. Just bold in that colour, like so. Gonna do a bit of a similar effect now, just on side this little dot area we've done just here. I'm gonna flick in a bit of that fire brick, just come off the edges, just here and here. And I'm gonna blend it out, going into yellow. Here. Now you can blend your yellows out into like white if you want. You know, you just kind of get an extra sort of shine in there. I quite like to go fairly bold with my sort of yellows. I just think it looks really cool and they're nice and bold. So now with that done, I'm going to go strip of red just in here. Strip of red just down here. And I'm gonna switch up, little color I forgot, I'm gonna grab out a light pink, just to sort of blend out this now. So I'm gonna go pink, and then I'm gonna go, so I've got this one, it's a Cersei. It's a bit luminous, I like that. So just go over the edge of that just to kind of blend it down a touch, and that's gonna go into pale pink, just so we get this nice kind of fade, like so. Then lastly, like I said, I'm going to grab out my lilac, and this lilac is literally just to colour in these square shapes. Now you can just use a grey if you want, you know, this is very much almost on a grey tone. You know, it's just a tiny bit of colour in it. You know, I really like it, it's really nice and subtle, you know, which really works when you've got nice and bright colours against it. You know, if the whole thing was really subtle, it might not work, but for something like this, it really does the trick. So again, I'm just going to flick maybe a little bit just down each one of the teeth. Don't have to, I just like to do this. Just like so. And then lastly, before I forget, I almost forgot, I was very close to forgetting, those little teeth in between. So I'm going to get my grey shade, I'm going to start off with number 4. I'm going to do a little bottom section of these, just like so. It's in between, so it's like a little kind of V shape, just kind of fitting in those gaps. And then I'm going to go up to number 1, just blend out the edge. So pretty much fades to nothing really. It's like a shadow of the teeth we want now. We don't want the actual teeth, we just want a shadow of the teeth. So you just kind of like that. Yeah, if you decide it's not for you, it's perfectly fine. If you want to build the whole thing in a grey, like those bottom 2 just there, you can do. But there we have, people. That's how you draw an old school crocodile face. I hope you like it. You know, make sure you click like if you can. You know, it really helps these videos out. You know, these videos can be seen by a couple 100,000 people or a couple of thousand. It really just depends how many comments and likes it gets. It's just the way YouTube works. So everyone is appreciated. But if you don't, just thanks for watching, people. I hope it's helped. I'm the Broken Puppet, and I'll see you next time. Peace.